Hello everybody, welcome and welcome back. I'm Caitlin and today I'm going to be talking about all the fantastic things I plan on reading and watching in October. It's spooky season. Even though we're going into summer in the southern hemisphere, I've got my autumnal colours on. It's the pumpkin vibe. That's what I want. I'm going to begin with the books I plan on reading in October and then talk about some of the films I plan on watching in October, all of which I have not seen before. Though I'm not participating in one sort of overarching cohesive October readathon, I do have a couple of books on my TBR that are part of readathons or read-alongs or book clubs, so I'll be talking about those as well as some general spooky picks that I'm hoping to read this month. However, very exciting news before I get into all of that. This video has really kindly been sponsored by the team at Luisa Jewelry, a brand that I really love and have been buying from since before they reached out to me. Could not believe it when they reached out to me. I'm so appreciative. I honestly text Chloe being like, is this a scam? Like, is this the email address of the person you dealt with Anna Louisa? Because I'm convinced this can't be real. Anyway, they were so kind and they offered to send me some pieces to feature in a video. Like I said, it was such a nice surprise because they are a brand that I'm already aware of and already really on board with. I've bought earrings and bracelets and other things from them before. I'm so happy with the quality and everything that they stand for, including their sustainability strategy. I personally always find it to be an added comfort when I'm buying from a brand that's upfront about their sustainability efforts. Something that I think is really admirable about Ana Luisa is they've actually achieved their goal of a net zero carbon footprint. They make really beautiful and really high quality premium jewelry pieces that are reasonably priced. They start from about $39 US. They have really tried to make sure there's something for everybody. I've basically worn the earrings that I bought from there since they arrived like months and months ago, and I haven't seen any wear and tear. They still look just as good as they did when I bought them. Being made from the best noble metals and being tarnish free is something that I can really attest to as a customer. So I was lucky enough to choose some of the pieces that they sent me, and I chose the Suzanne hoop earrings, which are some hoop huggies with little sparklies on them. Also the Cruise talisman hoops, which are these gold hoops with the little thingies on them, and they match really nicely with the existing Ana Luisa earrings I wear, and I think they look really nice styled next to them. Speaking of that, if you do want to get 10% off your Ana Luisa order, you can use the code caitliterature10. I'll put it here for you and I'll also put it in the description box. If you do end up buying any pieces, please let me know which ones you get. Send me photos. I would love to see how they look. Thank you so much again to the lovely people at Ana Luisa. Now for the October reading and watching plans. Sorry, but I'm just looking at my October TBR and it's absolutely stunning. First up are two books that I am planning on buddy reading with my lovely friends Chloe and Jaime from Books with Chloe and Jaime Alicia. The first of which will be a reread for me. It's one of my favorite books, we all know this, and that is Bunny by Mona Awad. Oh my gosh, I read it earlier this year. I absolutely loved it. I've been dying to reread ever since. October's the perfect time to do that and to be buddy reading it with some of my best friends. We love to see it. This is a sort of absurdist dark academia book set on a campus. It's about a girl who falls in with a group of girls who call each other Bunny and are definitely up to something, but our main character Samantha doesn't really know what. I love the atmosphere of this book. I loved the writing. I loved the plot. I loved that it's just like essentially all women. One thing that some people don't like about this book is that they feel it's confusing or doesn't quite give you enough. I really like that about it. The more I think about my first read of it, the less I'm sure about what actually happened and what was real. So I'm really interested to reread and to annotate and to hopefully be talking about it with Chloe and Jaime while I do. The other book we are planning to buddy read is The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. I have the gorgeous hardcover Penguin Horror edition. I like classics, Jaime and Chloe less so. Hopefully this will be a good one that we will all enjoy. I know that Chloe loves the TV show. I haven't actually watched it. I watched like the first 5 minutes once with my mum and we were just like, I was really scared. I've literally just realized this is a face with an eye. Okay, stunning. I'm guessing this is a haunted house story about a family that move into a new house called Hill House and things start going badly. We'll find out. Readathons / read-alongs I'll be taking part in. So the first is the Past It Classics book club, and the October pick is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, a book that I still haven't read. She's a fake classics stan. Anyway, I'm really excited to read this because I know the story really well. I have watched many a filmic and television adaptation of Jane Eyre, and I really like the story. I'm so excited to consume it in this way, especially because I haven't read any of Charlotte Bronte's work before. I've read some of the other Brontes. Jane Eyre is a very famous story. It's about a young orphaned girl who has a really horrible childhood and then grows up to become a governess and takes a job at Thornfield Hall, where the mysterious Mr. Rochester lives. This is also on my list of books that I must read by the end of 2020, so it will happen. Next up is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I have this gorgeous hardcover 80th anniversary edition. Can you stand it? It's so pretty. I'm pretty sure that Rebecca is about a young woman who meets a man and they get married, they're newlyweds, without her really realizing that he's still kind of obsessed with his dead wife Rebecca. And maybe like we don't know what happened to her. So it'll be a bit mysterious and I'm into that. Ciara and I think one of her other friends is hosting the Rebecca along, and that's to celebrate the fact that the new Rebecca film is going to be released on Netflix in October. To be honest, I don't have high hopes for it, but Lily James is my wife, so we will be watching. I actually haven't read any Daphne du Maurier, so I'm excited to enter her sublime gothic literary women-centric world. And finally, for the book club vibes, I'll be reading Mexican Gothic, which is Chloe's Patreon book club pick for the month of October. I haven't bought this book yet, but I definitely plan to because I'm dying to read it. It's been very popular on BookTube, which we love to see. I'm sure that I will enjoy it a lot. The rest of the books are just general books that I want to read in the month of October. The first is My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. This I think is set at a high school. We have some teenagers. One of them I'm guessing is possessed by a demon, and I think there are sort of comedic elements to the story which will be really exciting because horror comedy is a superior subgenre. Also by Grady Hendrix, the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. This I think is kind of exactly what it says on the tin. There's a book club, there are vampires. This is a fairly recent release, I think. Maybe not this year, maybe the previous year, maybe this year. I haven't seen many people reading it on Book Twitter, so I'm going into it pretty blind. Also, how pretty is this? It's like this gorgeous green color. That, are you kidding? Judging by the title of this, this will also have some comedic vibes. We love to see it. I want to keep going with Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, which I started earlier this year. I put it down not because I wasn't enjoying it, I was really enjoying it. I think I started reading it right before a month-long readathon started, and because I had a select TBR for that readathon, I kind of put it to the side and never picked it back up. I think I'll have to start it from the beginning again. I was only like 50 pages in, just to make sure that I haven't forgotten too much, but I am excited for this. It is a dark academia campus novel, and I think there are ghosts and other sort of supernatural elements. I really want to get to Catherine House by Elizabeth Thomas. This is another like dark academia horror vibe set on campus. We love it. I genuinely cannot express how quickly I would attend one of these universities. I don't care what happens to me. Give me all the horror, throw it all at me. I just want to be part of it. I think our main character goes to a university where you aren't allowed to have any contact or even belongings or consumption of things from the outside world. I'm hoping this will be a very atmospheric book. We love to see dark academia by an author of color. Thank you, Elizabeth Thomas. I'm sure I already stand. Lastly on my reading list is the graphic novel adaptation of The Black Dahlia, which is a classic kind of Hollywood murder noir story. This came onto my radar because I'm obsessed with David Fincher, who is a filmmaker, and I saw on his Wikipedia one day that he contributed to this because I know he was attached to the film project for a really long time. Obviously he didn't end up directing it and some other random directed it. It was a bad movie. Anyway, I just thought it'd be nice to chuck in a graphic novel with some spooky vibes and break up the reading a little bit. I don't know how I'll actually feel about it, but if it's got David Fincher's name on it, take my money. On to my watch list for October. So I have a list of 15 films that I really want to watch, but I will just quickly say that I'll be rewatching some classics like Hocus Pocus, you gotta have that. Probably just some classics like The Shining, The Exorcist, Silence of the Lambs maybe. Okay, but on to the new films that I want to watch. I really need to see Us by Jordan Peele. I've seen Get Out, absolutely loved it, it, but I was late to the party on Get Out and I'm late to the party on Us, so let's change that ASAP. I also really want to watch the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Again, kind of embarrassing that I've never seen it. One of my local movie theaters, it's an independent one that I really love, is basically having a month-long festival in October where they're showing horror films, both old and new, and this is one of the screenings they are doing. Really hoping I'll be able to make it to that because seeing it on the big screen for the first time would be epic. I want to watch the remake of The Invisible Man, which came out I think either last year or early this year, and people have really raved about this film. I remember seeing the trailer and completely writing it off as looking like ridiculous, but apparently it slaps. So I'm gonna find out if I agree. Another film that I remember thinking looked a bit ridiculous when I saw the trailer is a film called Happy Death Day. I think it came out a year or two ago. You know, there are a lot of people who really enjoyed it, and I think it's kind of the horror comedy vibe, so the more horror comedy the better in my opinion. I'm thinking of watching a film called Goodnight Mommy, but I'm also like, am I ready to be traumatized? I think there's like a mother who gets plastic surgery of some kind and she has twin sons who like no longer recognize her, and then they kind of feel like, is that our mother? That literally like almost gave me chills just talking about it. If I'm feeling brave, we'll do that. And if I continue to feel brave, I'm going to watch Dogtooth. So this is one of the earlier films by the filmmaker who made The Lobster and The Favourite recently. Apparently it's very intense, but I'm an intense person so I can get on board. I want to watch the original Suspiria because I've seen the remake. As Dakota Johnson's wife, I had to support her, and I really enjoyed the remake, but I know that it is quite different, especially stylistically, from the original. I just know that I'm gonna love all the colors and all the music and all the sort of extremity of it. That's like the story of this woman who goes to Germany to go to this prestigious dance academy and all kinds of crazy stuff happens. Back on the kind of really disturbing vibe, I want to watch Manhunter. I think like a Hannibal Lecter movie that isn't The Silence of the Lambs and in that kind of universe. Definitely want to watch Tale of Two Sisters. This is a Korean horror film, and we all know that the Koreans and the Japanese make fantastic horror that the West then completely rips off. Chloe recently watched A Tale of Two Sisters and said it was great, so I definitely want to get to that. The next one is a bit up in the air just because I know the release date has been pushed back into next year. Unsure whether that's just the case in America and it's getting an international release as planned, kind of like what happened with Tenet. I mentioned the independent theatre near me has a lineup for October and they include the new Candyman on it, and I don't know if you've seen the original Candyman, but she's scary. It's been remade by a black woman and I would love to support it, so I'm really hoping it does come out this October. Another recent release I'm really interested in is called In Fabric. It came to the New Zealand International Film Festival earlier this year, but I missed it because I'm silly. I know my friend Xavier really loved it. It's basically about an evil dress and the dress makes you go crazy when you wear it. Something like that. If it's not like that, then someone should make that movie. This next movie I want to watch because I love the first in this series, but I haven't seen any of the others, and that is of course the Scream franchise. I love the first Scream movie, but I've never seen the sequels. I want to watch Scream 2 because that independent theatre I keep mentioning is doing a double feature of Scream and Scream 2. I'm really hoping I'll make it to that. As I mentioned in the TBR portion of this video, I want to watch the new Rebecca film when that is released. Again, I don't have high hopes for it, but you know, 2 hours of Lily James on my screen, I'm not gonna complain too much. Another movie that Chloe watched recently and recommends is called As Above, So Below. I've definitely heard of this film, but I've never actually got around to watching it. Hopefully this will be the month that happens. And lastly, I want to watch a movie called Audition, which is a Japanese horror that, you know, I'm ready to be frightened by. Those are my big plans for the month of October. Please let me know if you're planning on reading any of those books or watching any of those films. Of course, also let me know if you have read or seen them and what I should expect and whether they're going to slap, which I really hope they all will. I'm like back in a reading mood and I'm hopefully gonna have a fair amount of time to consume art, so we love to see it. Thank you so much again to Ana Luisa for sponsoring this video, and thank you of course to you for watching. I hope it's been enjoyable and I hope I will see you in the next one. Bye!